Welcome to Prelims Heist program of IAS by Heart, your one-stop solution to crack prelims. I am Vijay Kumar. We are going to discuss ancient, medieval and modern history of India with more weightage given to modern history of India. This is class 3 and we are going to discuss questions 21 to 30. For the first 20 questions, kindly visit the previous history class videos. Let's see the questions. Today's first question is, consider the following statement regarding Bhimbetka painting. Statements are, Bhimbetka painting belong to Mesolithic ages only. So paintings represent hunting, dancing and geometric patterns. White shades of color were used including white, yellow, orange, red, ochre and black. So answer to this question is B, that is 2 and 3 only. So Bhimbetka painting does not belong to Mesolithic ages only. Let's see the explanation. The Bhimbetka rock shelters are located in the foothills of Vindhyan mountains in the state of Madhya Pradesh. This is the image of Bhimbetka in Madhya Pradesh. So Bhimbetka consists of around 400 painted rock shelters classified into 5 clusters. So it is one of the oldest paintings in India and the world. It starts from the Upper Paleolithic age itself. So there was continuous occupation of caves from 1 lakh BCE to 1000 CE. It is considered as an evidence of long cultural continuity. And in some places, up to 20 layers of paintings were found. Okay, these type of paintings are called as petroglyphs. So even though these paintings were drawn from Paleolithic age to the 1000 CE, most paintings are from Mesolithic age, that is the Middle Stone Age. So the major themes are hunters and community dances. The green paintings are used for the dancers and the red ones are used for the hunters. Even though various colors were used, white and red were their favorites. For making these colors, natural minerals were used. For example, red was obtained from hematite and white was probably from the limestone. So, answer to this question is 2 and 3 only. Since Bhimbetka painting belong not only to Mesolithic ages, it has one of the longest cultural continuity from Paleolithic ages to the current 1000 CE. Let's move on to the next question. 22nd question is, consider the following statement regarding Indus Valley civilization. The statements are, Great Bath, Pasupati seal, dancing girl statue were found in Harappa. Animals in Pasupati seal are rhino, bull, 2 antelopes, lion and tiger. Indus Valley site of Rakhi Gari is the biggest of all sites excavated so far. Which of the above statements are correct? So answer to this question is 3 only. Let's see the explanation. So generally with respect to Indus Valley civilization, questions can be based on their locations. So Harappa was the first extensively excavated site under Dayaram Shani in 1921 and Mohenjo-daro was excavated under R.D. Banerjee in 1922. So the recent excavation shows that Rakhi Gari, which is in Haryana, is the biggest of all sites excavated so far. So please note and study the important locations of Indus Valley civilization. And the questions can also be about the excavated items from the location. For example, in Harappa there were evidences of granaries, coffin burial, and in Kalibangan there were evidences of child burial, ploughed land and houses with wells. And in Dholavira it is the only city with 3 parts. Usually the cities are made of 2 parts. One is citadel and the other are plains. The citadel are for the elites and plains were for the normal people. So the Dholavira is the only city with 3 parts and there was evidences of unique water management structures. Similarly in Lothal there are evidences of ports, dockyards and bead factories. And the important site is Mohenjo-daro. Some of the excavated items here are Great Bath, dancing girl statue, Pasupati seal, bearded man assembly hall, etc. Let's see one by one. So Great Bath, it was the earliest public water tank in the ancient world. So many scholars agree that this tank was used for special religious functions where water was used to purify and renew the well-being of the bathers. So it was a watertight structure with no seepage. Also it was constructed with steps. So the steps are from the northern and southern direction. Okay, let's move on. So about Pasupati seal. Generally the seals are square stone materials made of steatite, a soft stone. So they were used as trade symbols. And 6 animals present in the Pasupati seal are rhino, bull, 2 antelopes, tiger and elephant. So the lion was not present in the Pasupati seal. Let's move on. Similarly, dancing girl statue was also found from the Mohenjo-daro. It was a bronze statue and it was made using the lost wax technique. Similarly, the bearded man is also from the Mohenjo-daro. It was made of steatite soft stone. Other type of questions can be asked from the socio-economy, that is what the traded materials, how their lifestyle are, what are the agricultural goods they cultivated, and it could be from culture, what religion they followed, the script of Indus Valley civilization is yet to be deciphered, and the arts and artifacts and architecture of the Indus Valley civilization. Okay, so answer to this question is 3 only. So the animals present in the Pasupati seal are rhino, bull, 2 antelopes, tiger and elephant and not the lion. And Great Bath Pasupati seal dancing girl statues were found in Mohenjo-daro and not in Harappa. Let's move on to the next question. 23rd question is, consider the following statements. Alai Darwaza is one of the gate-like structure of Qutub Minar complex. It was built by Qutbuddin Aibak. Which of the above statement are correct? So answer to this question is A, that is 1 only. It was not built by Qutbuddin Aibak. Let's see the explanation. So the Alai Darwaza is one of the main gate of Quwat-ul-Islam Mosque in the Qutub Minar complex. So it was built by Alauddin Khilji in 1311 CE. And Alai Darwaza has a domed entrance which was constructed using red sandstone and is adorned with white marbles. So it is made of red sandstone and white marbles. Okay. So Alai Darwaza is the only entrance remaining of 4 added by the Alauddin Khilji during his reign. It is located on the southeastern edge of the complex. Okay, and it is suggested that it was once a gate to the city itself. So it is one of the beautiful structures of Qutb Minar with pleasing symmetry. The other important features are arabesques and motifs. So arabesques are the ornamental designs consisting of intertwined flowing lines. So it was one of the features of ancient Islamic art, and motifs are also found, and examples are rounded floral buds. So answer to this question is A, 1 only. So it was built by Alauddin Khilji, not Qutbuddin Aibak. Let's move on to the next question. 24th question is, consider the following statement regarding Islamic architecture. So the techniques of tessellation and pietra dura are the features of Islamic architecture. The roof was generally a mix of central dome and other smaller domes, chhatris and tiny minarets. So answer to this question is C, both 1 and 2. Let's see the explanation. So the main holy places of the mosques usually oriented towards west. That is, they oriented towards the Mecca from India. So the important and common features of Islamic architecture are metal finial. So this part is the metal finial, and this is the lotus decoration, and this is the central or onion dome. Okay, so this part is the central or onion dome, and it ends with the drum. So this end part is the drum, And the Islamic architecture usually has these miniature structures called chhatris. Also, these structures have calligraphy written on their structure, and the entrance are usually made of arches. Also, these structures will have minars and minarets. Okay, these are the minars. They have patterns of arabesque. They are continuous patterns and calligraphy. So this is the calligraphy in the Qutb Minar complex. Also, the Islamic architecture usually have jalis. So these are the jali structure. And motifs of varieties of flowers, both Indian and foreign, were painted or carved. So between 14th and 16th century, tiles were used to surface the walls and domes. So generally tiles were used to surface these domes and walls. The preferred colors are blue, green, yellow, turquoise. The turquoise is the blend of blue and green color. Similarly, the techniques of tessellation and pietra dura were also used. So the tessellation is the designs in the mosaics. Okay. So pietra dura is a technique in which the marble or any structure is carved out and are fitted with polished color stones to create beautiful images. So this is an example of tessellation technique, and this is an example of pietra dura. So answer to this question is both 1 and 2. The Islamic architecture uses the techniques of tessellation and pietra dura. The roofs was generally a mix of central dome and other smaller domes, chhatris and tiny minarets. Let's move on to the next question. 25th question is, consider the following statements. Amir Khusro was called as Parrot of India and he belonged to the courts of Mughals. Tughlaq Nama was written by Amir Khusro. Kamsha or Pentalogy, a group of 5 long riddles, were written by him. So answer to this question is A, that is 2 and 3 only. So Amir Khusro belonged to the court of Delhi Sultanate. Let's see the explanation. So Amir Khusro was a poet, Sufi singer and scholar. He served under 7 rulers of Delhi Sultanate in total. He served Delhi Sultanate between Slave dynasty to Tughlaq dynasty. The important rulers he served below are Balban, Alauddin Khilji. So Amir Khusro was called as Parrot of India due to his numerous works on poems. His poetic works are 5 divans, which were the compilation of his poems compiled at different period of his life, and Kamsha or Pentalogy, which are a group of 5 long riddles. Both these divans and Kamsha were the works of poems of Islamic literature. He also contributed to prose works. Some of them are Kaza in al-Futa, which means the treasure chambers of victories. Now Sifir, the 9 heavens, Tarikh-i-Allah, the history of Allah, and Tughlaq Nama, the book of Tughlaq. So in Tughlaq Nama, he describes about various Tughlaq rulers. So answer to this question is A, 2 and 3 only. So it should be Amir Khusro was called as Parrot of India and he belonged to the court of Delhi Sultanate. Let's move on to the next question. 26th question is, consider the following statement. Bengal was partitioned in 16th October 1905 and the viceroy during the period was Curzon. So the 1905 Indian National Congress session held at Banaras started the Swadeshi movement. It was headed by Dadabhai Naoroji. So answer to this question is A, that is 1 only. Let's see the explanation. So the Bengal was partitioned in 16th October 1905. So earlier it was called as Bengal, and British stated that due to administrative reasons it is partitioning Bengal into Bengal and Eastern Bengal and Assam. So the newly created provinces Eastern Bengal and Assam. However, the main motive here is to create rift between Hindus and Muslims. So the viceroy during this period was Curzon. 1905 Indian National Congress session held at Banaras and it started the Swadeshi movement. It was actually headed by Gopal Krishna Gokhale. It started the movement of boycott and its focus was Atma Shakti movements. So during the course of Swadeshi movement, the volunteers who worked are called Samhitis. And this is the period Rabindranath Tagore wrote Amar Sona Bangla and Abhinendranath Tagore draw the painting of Bharat Mata. The Amar Sona Bangla later became the national anthem of Bangladesh. So this was the period. The focus was on the Atma Shakti movement and Swadesh movement. In this period, P.C. Ray started Bengal Chemical Factory and V.O. Chidambaram bought ships and named them Swadeshi ships. So, partition of Bengal led to the Swadeshi movement in India, and answer to this question is one only. The second statement should be the 1905 session of Indian National Congress held at Banaras started the Swadesh movement and it was headed by Gopal Krishna Gokhale. So, let's move on to the next question. 27th question is, consider the following statement regarding Pune Pact. The statements are, it was signed between Gandhiji and Ramsay MacDonald in the year 1931. Pune Pact was signed on the backdrop of communal award of Ramsay MacDonald and Madan Mohan Malviya was a signatory to the pact. Choose the incorrect statement. So the incorrect statement here is B, that is one only. Let's see the explanation. The Pune Pact was signed on the backdrop of separate electorate award for the depressed classes given by British Prime Minister Ramsay MacDonald. This was called as Communal Award of Ramsay. So it was the time Gandhiji was on Irrawaddy jail of Pune, and Gandhiji believed that British was trying to create rift within the Hindus, and thus he started fast until death. So the Pune Pact was signed in 1932. It was signed between Gandhiji and Ambedkar on behalf of the depressed classes, and also it was signed between Gandhiji and Madan Mohan Malviya on behalf of upper classes Hindus. It provided that 18% of total seats could be reserved for the depressed classes, and they rejected the communal award of Ramsay. So the first statement should be, the Pune Pact was signed between Gandhiji and Ambedkar on behalf of depressed class and Gandhiji and Madan Mohan Malviya on behalf of upper classes Hindu in the year 1932. Let's move on to the next question. 28th question is, consider the following statement. Ilbert Bill controversy occurred during the period of Lord Ripon. Ilbert Bill stated that Indian judges should be allowed to prosecute Europeans. Which of the above statement are correct? So answer to this question is C, both 1 and 2. Let's see the explanation. So the Ilbert Bill controversy occurred during the period of Lord Ripon, and Ilbert was the law member of the Executive Council of the Ripon. So earlier, the British subjects in 1873 had been exempted from trial by Indian magistrates, and in cases involving death or transportation, they could only be tried by the High Court. So Ilbert Bill was proposed in 1883. It sought to allow senior Indian magistrates to preside over cases involving British subjects in India. So Europeans started agitation and they revolted. So at last a compromise was reached by which a British subject could claim a jury, half of which could be Europeans. So the Ilbert Bill was brought during the period of Lord Ripon, and the controversy around the Ilbert Bill boosted the sentiment of Indian nationalism within the Indian subjects. Let's move on to the next question. 29th question is, consider the following statements. Peasants were given patta under Mahalwari system, and it was introduced by Holt Mackenzie. Under Mahalwari system, the representatives of the villagers were called Lambadars. Which of the following statements are correct? So answer to this question is B, that is 2 only. Let's see the further explanation. So Mahalwari system was one of the three main revenue systems of land tenure in British India. The other two were Zamindari system and Rayatwari system. Pattas were given in Rayatwari system only and not under Mahalwari system. The Mahalwari system was introduced by Holt Mackenzie and Martinez Bird in 1822. By 1833, William Bentinck introduced Mahalwari system in Northwestern Frontal Province, Punjab, Agra and Central Province regions. So in Mahalwari system, the villages were classified as Mahals, and usually the representatives of these Mahals were their village leaders, and they are also called as Lambadars. So answer to this question is 2 only. Here the first statement should be peasants were not given patta under Mahalwari system and it was introduced by Holt Mackenzie. Okay, so this part is the wrong part. Let's move on to the next question. 30th question is, consider the following events: Kheda Satyagraha, Ahmedabad Mill Strike, Khilafat movement and Jallianwala Bagh tragedy. So arrange the above events in the chronological order. So we have to arrange these events based on their chronology. So the answer to this question is A. That is, the first event among them are Ahmedabad Mill Strike, then comes the Kheda Satyagraha, then comes the Jallianwala Bagh tragedy, and then comes the Khilafat movement. Let's see the explanation. So Ahmedabad Mill Strike held in 1918. So after Champaran Satyagraha, Gandhiji received a letter to come to Ahmedabad to solve the issue of mill strike of labours and address the issue of labours. So Gandhiji went there in 1918 and solved the issue. Then Gandhiji went to Kheda in 1918 and the peasants were facing the high land revenue issue. So Gandhiji started Kheda Satyagraha in 1918. And during this Kheda Satyagraha, Vallabhbhai Patel became the follower of Gandhiji. Then in 13th April 1919, Jallianwala Bagh tragedy happened. It happened on the backdrop of Rowlatt Satyagraha and Rowlatt Act. So in November 1919, Khilafat movement started. It was started by Muslim League. So it was the period of World War I, and when Britain captured Turkey, and Turkey was the caliphate of Islamic realm. So the Muslim League started Khilafat movement to restore caliphate again to the Turkey. So by 1920, they shifted their leadership to Gandhiji to start non-cooperation movement. So the chronological order was Ahmedabad Mill Strike, Kheda Satyagraha, Jallianwala Bagh tragedy and Khilafat movement. So the answer to this question is A, 2143. With this, we conclude our session. Thank you.